After watching a few episodes of SpongeBob, I got a bit curious about the area called Goo Lagoon. Goo Lagoon, for those who don't know, is basically an underwater beach that the residents at Bikini Bottom often go to for fun. This made me a bit curious to see if this had some kind of real-life equivalent since the show's creator, the late Steven Hillenburg, was actually a marine biologist. So, after thinking of this idea, I began my search. Simply googling the words underwater water didn't exactly help since Google had zero idea what I was looking for. After a while of searching, I looked for help from YouTube creator MatPat, real life name Matthew Patrick, who actually mentioned this topic before on one of his shows called Film Theory. He stated that bodies of water underwater were actually called brine lakes. So after hearing what the actual term was called, I was back to my research. Wikipedia describes this as a volume of brine collected in the seafloor depression, which is honestly a bunch of words I don't really understand, so I'll just stick with the whole underwater water approach because that seems way easier to pronounce. Brine lakes, or brine pools, are able to exist at some parts underwater because of their density compared to the actual water above it. If you've been in any kind of chemistry class, then you've probably seen that one experiment where you try to put oil and water together, but then they kind of separate and make two different layers. That's because of their different densities. Oil has a density that is apparently in their 100s, while water only has a density of 1 gram per centimeter cubed. So, quite the difference. The same thing is happening here with the actual ocean or lake compared to the actual brine lake itself. The brine lake has so much salt that it created a sort of different layer to separate itself from the surrounding water. According to Google, these things have a salinity, or the amount of salt dissolved in the body of water, that is 3 to 8 times bigger than the surrounding water. This is the reason why they're separate layers, because of their differing densities, which seem almost completely different because salt water usually has a density of about 1,020 to 1,029 kilograms per meter cubed. And according to Wikipedia, brine lakes have a way bigger density, being 38 times larger, so I can see why they wanted to separate from each other. However, the sad part is that most sea creatures that do in fact actually have contact with brine lakes usually end up experiencing toxic shock from it and can't handle it. This causes most sea creatures to die from having contact with it, which is really sad to think about. The question is, how would actual humans react to such water? Could they survive and swim in it like normal water? Well, honestly, I don't have a proper answer to it. When I tried to look it up, it seemed like almost nobody has an answer for this, so I'll try my best to answer the question myself. The brine in the actual brine lake often contains high concentrations of hydrogen sulfide and methane, which provide energy to certain organisms that live near the pool. Hydrogen sulfide is actually known to be dangerous to humans, with a low amount only causing at least a headache and eye irritation in its gas form. However, we're talking brine pools here that have high concentrations of the stuff, which means we probably won't be able to get out of the brine lake scot-free. We also have to take into consideration that methane is also present. Fortunately, according to a lot of sources, it doesn't cause death much, only in low concentrations, however, which cause harm like headaches. However, if there are high concentrations of the stuff, then it can cause death by asphyxiation, meaning that it would be very hard to breathe. So, final answer. Would brine lakes be dangerous to humans? Well, if the water pressure from being so low down underwater isn't going to hurt you, this definitely will. Because of the present high concentrations of these substances in the brine lake and how they are extremely dangerous at high concentrations, it's clear that sea creatures aren't the only things that have to worry about having contact with these things. Granted, I'm not sure what would happen if you only had a tiny bit of contact with the lake itself, like for example just poking it a bit, but if I were you, I wouldn't risk it. So there you have it, brine lakes. In this video, I discussed what they were and how they work, as well as what causes them to exist in the first place. I'll be giving credit to all the sources I use, including Google, Wikipedia, as well as the user MatPat, who runs the channel of Film Theory, or the Film Theorists, which is what I used for help on this video. I hope you all enjoyed this little video, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care, guys!